Don't miss the Green and Growing Show in the noon to 9 p.m. hours on Eagle TV. Ellis County Horticulture Agent Holly Dickman will identify common lawn and garden issues while providing up-to-date information. Watch weekdays in the noon to 9 p.m. hours on Channel 14 or 614. Green and Growing, brought to you by Riedel's Garden Center, a full-service garden center west of Hayes on Highway 40, and Eagle TV.
With our current weather conditions, it takes a real expert to create landscape that'll thrive. Riedel's Garden Center has the staff with the expertise of water requirements for plants, lawns, and landscapes that'll stand up to our changing weather conditions. With 25 years of hands-on experience, owner Darren Riedel will customize a landscape design and irrigation system to meet your expectations and our climate. It's recommended to protect your lawn using Fertilome products available at Riedel's Garden Center, an authorized dealer. Call or stop by Riedel's Garden Center today.
Fall is a great time to plant trees and shrubs in the landscape. This is the time where the weather is starting to cool down. The soil temperatures, however, are still very warm, so this is a great time for those root systems to get established, put on a lot of good growth before we get into the winter months, and then even more stressful time next summer when we get into those hot, dry temperatures of the heat of summer. Now, when you're considering planting trees, there's several things to think about. One is, what variety or what species do you want? If you have questions about what grows well in your area, please contact your local extension office. We have lists of recommended trees and shrubs for Kansas, and even more specifically for Northwest Kansas or Southwest Kansas, whatever part of the state you're in, we have lists of recommended trees and shrubs. Unfortunately, there are trees and shrubs that are being sold in the area that just aren't well suited for our soils, for our weather conditions, and so you want to make sure you purchase a plant that is really adapted to the conditions we have here. When you go to plant your tree in the landscape, you want to make sure to plant it correctly. One of the biggest mistakes is trees are not planted correctly, and that can really slow them down, hinder them, or even cause plant death in the long run. And so when you go to plant a tree, when you pick out the tree in the nursery and take it home, make sure you dig that planting hole at least 2 to 3 times as wide as that container, or 2 to 3 times as wide as that planting ball and burlap tree. You don't have to go very deep. What we talk about is that root flare. And we'll show some examples of some natural root flares. And then on this tree here, you want to make sure that that area where the roots kind of begin, right where that trunk meets the roots, is right there at the surface of the soil. If that is buried, which sometimes it is when you pick out your tree at the nursery, you want to actually remove some soil from the top of that container to find the root flare. It is very important that that root flare is right at the surface of the soil. That's a really critical place for oxygen exchange and a real critical place for the plant health in the long run. So you want to make sure that that's not buried, at least not buried too deeply. Once you get the plant placed in the hole, you want to make sure and fill back in with that same soil that you dug out. You don't want to amend the soil with any sort of compost or peat moss or anything really. You just want to put that native soil right back into the hole. This way those roots have a chance to reach out and go into that native soil. Once you have the plant planted in the ground, the next biggest thing that I'd like to talk about is mulch. Mulch is critical for our plants here in Kansas. It just helps them grow better. When we talk about mulch, I'm talking about organic mulches that break down over time. One of the worst things you can do for a tree or shrub is to put rock mulch around it or gravel. And so we're always recommending organic mulch that breaks down. This will not only help keep that soil warm as we go into those winter months and help those roots grow a little bit longer into the season, but it'll also keep down weed problems. It'll help keep that moisture in the soil when you water. And when we're talking about mulch, we're talking about 2 to 4 inches of mulch. Now we're standing on some mulch that's maybe a little bit thicker than what we would recommend, but you want to put at least 2 to 4 inch layer of organic mulch around the tree. You don't want to pile the mulch up against the trunk of the tree. You want to actually keep that mulch about 1 inch or 2 away from the trunk if possible, and then go out from there, creating more of a mulch donut, so to speak, versus a mulch volcano. After you get the tree placed in the ground with nice mulch, you can go ahead and stake the tree. Here in Kansas, we know it gets windy. Staking is very important. So these are actually guide And these are old enough now that they've removed the wire or the twine, but that is a recommended practice once you get that young tree in the ground. After that, make sure you soak the tree deeply to allow it to be well watered, and then go ahead and continue to water that tree if we have no rain throughout the winter months before the ground freezes. So even around Christmas time, if the ground has not frozen and we've had no rain, no snow, you can go out one last time and soak those trees really deeply before we get into the really cold winter months. Like I mentioned, fall is a great time to plant things in the landscape. If you have questions about how to do that or what to plant, contact your local extension office for more information. Reporting for K-State Research and Extension, Eagle TV, I'm Holly Dickman, Ellis County Horticulture Extension Agent.
Don't miss the Green and Growing Show in the noon to 9 p.m. hours on Eagle TV. Ellis County Horticulture Agent Holly Dickman will identify common lawn and garden issues while providing up-to-date information. Watch weekdays in the noon to 9 p.m. hours on Channel 14 or 614. Green and Growing, brought to you by Riedel's Garden Center, a full-service garden center west of Hayes on Highway 40, and Eagle TV.
With our current weather conditions, it takes a real expert to create landscape that'll thrive. Riedel's Garden Center has the staff with the expertise of water requirements for plants, lawns, and landscapes that'll stand up to our changing weather conditions. With 25 years of hands-on experience, owner Darren Riedel will customize a landscape design and irrigation system to meet your expectations and our climate. It's recommended to protect your lawn using Fertilome products available at Riedel's Garden Center, an authorized dealer. Call or stop by Riedel's Garden Center today.